Hi, and welcome to Rent Pro's Property Management. We're committed to educating people on how property management should operate. The class I do called 13 Mistakes Every Landlord Makes at least once. Now, I want to go over the top 3 mistakes that I see landlords make. Number 1, put everything in writing. It's very common that an owner will come to me and say, Chris, would you start managing my property? I'm having a problem. Here's my tenant, here's my property. And they either haven't put the entire sometimes they put nothing in writing, but they either have only put a small lease agreement together in writing, but they've made a lot of other arrangements with the tenants, and none of those things have been written down and agreed to by both tenant and owner. I can tell you this is probably the number 1 error that I see landlords make. If you have a tenant living in your property and you have a great, wonderful signed lease agreement, good for you. But if you make a new arrangement, for example, you're going to allow the tenant to move in a new resident, a roommate, or move in a pet, you should put that in writing so that down the road there's no discrepancy on who said what and who did what and so on. The second most important thing is never let your tenant make repairs to the property in exchange for rent. And there's a whole host of reasons why not to do this. First, it's against the law. And it's against the law in this respect. When you hire somebody to do work and you agree to compensate them in any way, well, now you start to fall under the Department of Labor laws. So that means you have to pay workman's comp on that person, you have to pay matching taxes, employment taxes, Social Security, etc., etc. And if you don't, and you ever have a disagreement with that tenant, one of the things you'll find is they'll go to a labor attorney, and part of whatever they're complaining against you about, all those labor law rules will start to come upon you as well. And so I've seen this many times where that legal aspect of doing something, that you thought was just fine, here, fix the faucet, I'll take $100 off the rent, turns into a big labor dispute. The other reason not to do that is you very often don't really know, as a landlord, did the job get done? Did it get done properly? You're far better off in every case to simply, if the dishwasher breaks, let's call a handyman or a dishwasher repairman, have them fix it and pay them. Now you have a warranty, now you can expect that the work was done properly. You don't have labor issue laws because those are independent contractors. So the third thing that I see, the third biggest mistake I see owners make is they become very emotionally involved with their property and with the tenant. When they walk into the properties, they can become extremely upset because I've seen owners become very upset because the rooms are messy, that is, clothes are on the floor, or beds aren't made, or tenants' possessions are all over the house and it's kind of messy. Now, please don't confuse this with hoarding, or don't confuse what I'm saying with something that can harm the property, but understand that you have rented your property to another person and they have a right to live to a degree how they want to live, provided they're not affecting the condition of the property. Also, I find that when landlords get involved with managing their own homes, they oftentimes will, the tenants will pay late, and instead of that being treated like a business transaction, tenant paid late, now they have to pay a late fee, we give them a proper notice, we have to serve it directly. Instead, the owners become furious, you may become very, very upset on a personal level, bang on the door, get into a verbal fight with the tenant. These are the kind of things that I find that when a lot of people who have been managing property themselves come to me, they've been engaged in these kind of activities. That's very stressful, and really there's no reason to do that. As a property manager, it's all business and no emotion. So as a do-it-yourself landlord or somebody who has a property manager, you need to make sure that you're focusing on business, keeping this a business. Again, please don't confuse this with a situation where a tenant is damaging the property. That's a whole nother situation which we could do a whole nother video on. But keeping yourself unemotional, do not get emotionally involved, keep it business, and you'll be a lot happier, and so will your tenant.